Coming up on Mountain News, first at 4, as blistering cold temperatures head our way, troopers are reminding drivers to take it easy. And more than a dozen families impacted by flooding are getting early Christmas gifts thanks to a generous donation.
And dangerously cold air will spill into the region later on tonight. All those details coming up as Mountain News first at 4 continues.
Mountain News first at 4 continues.
We are just hours away from potentially life-threatening cold weather. For more on exactly when the Arctic blast and snow will arrive, let's check in with meteorologist Cameron Aaron on this first alert weather day.
Yes, Steve, that Arctic blast is working its way into western Kentucky as we speak, and it will continue to push off towards the east. And by tonight, many of us will be experiencing some very cold and bone-chilling temperatures. Let's go over to London this afternoon if you're hitting the interstate on I-75. As people start to travel ahead of this holiday weekend, traffic is running smoothly over at this location. 48 degrees right now in London, 50 for Manchester, 49 for Jackson, and 46 over in Somerset. But we will be about 40 degrees cooler by this time tomorrow, all thanks to an Arctic front that is back towards the west. But this afternoon, we are tracking a couple of light sprinkles over the Big Sandy, nothing too heavy at the moment. And this is all moving off towards the north and east, but back to the west. Notice snow starting to move into western Kentucky, and this will continue pushing off into our direction. And notice the cool down, a 40-degree difference. Let that sink in. 40 degrees from Louisville to St. Louis, and that kind of air is moving into the region. And that is why a first alert weather day continues for the entire holiday weekend as we track dangerously cold air. So be sure to prepare now because time is running out. That full first alert forecast coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Southern Kentucky officials say they are ready for the cold and snow. From road crews to emergency officials, people are standing by to respond. WYMT's Phil Pendleton is at one of 2 warming centers that will be open in Somerset.
New Life Church here in Ferguson in Pulaski County will be one of 2 warming centers open in Pulaski County. There will be another at the Rocky Hollow Center, which is close to the Judicial Center in the downtown area. The New Life Church will be open starting tonight and through the night whenever the temperature drops below 32 degrees. Rocky Hollow will be open during the day from 8 in the morning until 8 at night. The Pulaski County EOC will also be manned, and if people need help, they can call 606-451-0810. Road crews will also be busy in the area. It comes as Friday would have been a holiday for many state and local workers, but they could all be very busy, all thanks to the weather.
Of course, these guys are prepared. They know that this is part of their job. They're ready for it every year. They don't like it. You know, of course, nobody really does being away from their families and stuff on the holidays, but this is one of the sacrifices that they make.
Well, we're working to have plans to offer transportation if anyone needs, transportation to a warming center or somewhere else due to these cold temperatures.
First responders tell me that they hope that people will stay home, stay off the roads tomorrow when the weather will be possibly at its worst, because of this very, very, very cold weather that's coming through, not only for the safety and well-being of them, but for the safety and well-being of the first responders that have to get out in the weather. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Phil, thank you. Josh Whitus also says the local EMS and rescue squad will be working to provide transportation for those who need to get to dialysis appointments. Well, while you may be dreaming of a white Christmas, those driving for the holidays or even work may be dreading it. Kentucky State Police Trooper Daniel Priddy stresses that if you have to drive somewhere in the colder snow, to be prepared by having an emergency kit in your car with blankets, extra clothes, and a cell phone charger. Another tip, just pay attention while driving.
Try not to become overconfident is a big thing. You don't want to be overconfident in your skills. There are a lot of times that people get out and don't think it's as slick as it is and ends up being maybe ice under snow, and they end up getting in trouble that way.
Trooper Priddy says to pack extra food and water in the event you do become stranded. Before the freezing temperatures arrive, auto repair shops are reminding drivers to check some things on and in their cars to make sure it does not freeze up. Tosin Fakile reports.
Air pressure in your tires, your wiper blades.
After checking the big items, check the smaller ones.
This would be your coolant reservoir.
And that coolant or antifreeze is something folks at Midas say people tend not to check before a cold snap.
Usually that coolant, that's usually the first thing that everybody forgets about. If it hasn't been flushed in a few years, it may not be at the level it needs to be. Most people can look, there's always a minimum and maximum line.
Okay.
And you can kind of, most jugs nowadays are clear, you can kind of see the condition of it.
Okay.
If it's really dark color, that usually means that it's time to change it.
The antifreeze keeps your car heater going and keeps the engine cool.
And if the antifreeze was to freeze and it busts a block, you're talking new engine, 3,000 to 5,000. You may be able to thaw it out, but there's usually some intake gasket damage.
Other car parts to check include your batteries and windshield washer fluid.
They do make a special washer fluid that does have de-icer in it. That is a good idea to have this time of year. Again, the wiper blades, the condition of the wiper blades, even if you defrost your window and you can't wipe the water off fast enough, it's going to freeze right back on you.
And one last thing before you hit the road. When you turn that ignition, let the car run for a little while.
Just let it warm up. Cold taking off is bad. It's bad on transmissions, it's bad on engines. You'd like to have it up, especially in that kind of temperature. You're going to want it at running temperature before you go to your destination.
Well, the forecast did not stop one group from making its way to Pikeville today, traveling 4 hours to give a little something special to families impacted by the summer flood. WYMT's Buddy Forbes was there as the gifts arrived.
2 tour buses from Ohio bringing a little joy here to the mountains as a partnership with Pike County provides a Christmas for families in need. Pikeville Pike County Tourism joined forces with Grace Fellowship Church to identify some families impacted by the late July floods. Those families received a visit from Santa today when 2 buses from Croswell Tours brought in a room full of gifts. John Croswell says it was their way of contributing to a little cheer this Christmas.
I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. I grew up fortunate enough to be able to have a Christmas, and this is like what I woke up to on Christmas morning, watching these little kids get toys and clothes and stuff that they need.
After the Pikeville trip, the group also made a stop in Floyd County, saying they plan to work with Santa to make more trips to the mountains next year. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Croswell says it was great to see the smiling faces of kids who have had a lot thrown at them in recent months. See more from the event coming up at 6. But next on First at 4, we are testing out some kitchen gadgets that can make your holiday meal prep much easier.
Plus, we are expecting some snow to move through the region as early as tonight. All those details coming up right after this.